Hi everyone, my name is Sophie and today I am going to present you my research on the genre of period drama. Since the term period drama is relatively vague, I would like to define it first for my discussion today. After that, we will take a look at how period drama evolves with some examples, and we will talk about the common themes noted in this genre as well as its selling points. Last but not least, I would like to share with you my favorite period drama of all time. So let's start with the definition. The term period drama or historical drama, costume drama, and period piece. Some people would like to narrow historical drama films to stories based upon historical events and famous people. Some historical dramas take the form of a docudrama, which is a style of drama that attempts an accurate portrayal of a historical event or biography, to the degree that the available historical research will allow. Other historical dramas are fictionalized tales that are based on one or more actual persons and their deeds, such as Braveheart, which is loosely based on the 13th century knight William Wallace's fight to protect Scotland's independence. A period film is a film that attempts to faithfully depict a specific time period. However, in my discussion today, I would like to refer period drama to a work set in an earlier period of time. A period piece may be as long and general as the Middle Ages or as limited as 1 decade. It is an informal crossover term that can apply to several genres and is often heard in the context of historical fiction and romance, adventure films, and swashbucklers. Anyway, now let's move on to the history. Looking at the history of period drama, an earlier example might be Gone with the Wind, which was premiered in 1939. It has been a huge film both culturally and financially. The day when it was premiered, around 300,000 fans lined at the flat decorated streets to greet the movie stars. The film also remains the highest growing film of all time when adjusted for inflation. Some other classic period dramas in the 20th century include My Fair Lady, premiered in 1964, The Lost Empire in 1987, and Titanic in 1997. Some of you must not agree with me putting Titanic into period drama. However, as I said, any film that is set in an earlier time period is a period drama in our discussion. And since Titanic tells the story in 1912, it should be labeled as a period piece. And a major branch of period drama should be adaptations from Jane Austen's novels, such as Sense and Sensibility, directed by Ang Lee in 1995, Pride and Prejudice starring Keira Knightley in 2005, and even Jane Austen's personal story, Becoming Jane, starring Anne Hathaway in 2007. The first two have done well in worldwide box office. As for Becoming Jane, though its box office is not as good as others, but the film has always been a favorite of audiences who love period romance piece. Period dramas featuring historical events or biography have always been a favorite of Oscar judges. The 3 period dramas have won Oscar Best Picture since 2010, including King's Speech, The Artist, and 12 Years a Slave. All of them performed well in box office. In this year, 2017, there are also many period dramas. The biggest one is definitely Nolan's Dunkirk, though most people would only label it as a war film. And the most recent wide release, Murder on the Orient Express, is another highly expected period drama, though most people will use crime to label it first. As for the last film on this page, Victoria and Abdul is no doubt a period drama due to its royal content. As an art house film, it grossed over 21 million domestically after 8 weeks and over 38 million internationally. And it is also believed that Judi Dench will receive another Oscar nomination. Apart from the Lost Empire, as we mentioned, there are some other period dramas set in Asia that I would like to discuss here. For example, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, directed by An Lee in 2000. Memoirs of a Geisha, produced by Steven Spielberg in 2005. Both featured strong female protagonists. And the most recent period drama set in Asia should be The Great Wall, released early 2017. Well, for me, it is really funny to see Matt Damon fitting in Asian Chinese costume. So, what about you? What do you think? Talking about the theme, after reviewing over 15 examples, it is not hard to conclude that the most common themes discussed in period dramas are social hierarchy, racial and gender problems. The flower girl Eliza is disrespected, but the Miss Doolittle speaking royal accent is well loved as a princess in My Fair Lady. As for Titanic and Jane Austen's book adaptations, what stops the protagonists are always their differences in social class. And even Queen Victoria has to face this issue since Abdul is a servant from India. The hardship Black people have experienced in history is well discussed in 12 Years as a Slave and this year's Detroit. And in The Danish Girl and the Memoirs of a Geisha, we learn how females were always underestimated back to days. Why those themes are common in period drama? In my opinion, it is because modern audiences may not be okay with overt racism towards Black people or violence against women in today's setting. But when all these intrinsic problems are portrayed in period dramas, it is easier for the audience to accept, because the audience know that as time passes by, justice has won. There is no Black slave now, and women are sharing the same rights as men. Even the British prince has married a girl outside the royal blood. Apart from the more conservative world set in period dramas, what else attracts the audience? Obviously, the costume, location, and setup. Look at all these gorgeous gowns and hats in My Fair Lady, and the amazing views of royal palace, both exterior and interior in Pride and Prejudice, and the detailed and huge rebuild of the moving train in Murder on the Orient Express. As an audience, I may not be able to expect them all in a modern drama, but in a period piece, I know I can adore them at the same time. However, these elements definitely are not enough to make a period drama a film last through tens of years. The core to a successful period drama will always be the compelling characters, with all other elements tying in and push the story forward. Let's take a look at my favorite period drama of all time and see what makes it so successful. As I've mentioned, The King's Speech has always been my favorite film, my favorite period drama film. And to make it a success, in my opinion, the first and foremost reason is the compelling character of Bertie. This is a story about a man from prince to king, from inadequacy to full competency. Bertie experienced a very demanding transformation. The circumstance he is thrown into is not something that you and I, or even he, has ever expected. His inadequacy not just lies in his physical shortage, but also in his confidence. And the journey he picks up the obligations as king and overcomes his physical limitations and finally becomes a king is very inspiring and compelling. As for its shooting location, the substitution of Lancaster House for Buckingham Palace is wisdom and practical for the production. The Lancaster House itself was initially a property of the royal family. The house keeps the essence of the nobility, and the originality of its dated nature makes the scene authentic. As for the production design and the costume, The chaotic pattern of the wall in the left picture creates a tension which makes the audience experience the same uneasiness of Birdie. And the color pattern is very consistent. The green scarf of Birdie resonates with the color of the wall, which indicates that Birdie himself is part of the uneasiness. As for the picture on the right, the overall color palette of the scene is warm, which is consistent with the welcoming nature of the Logue family. The costume of Leonard Logue and his wife integrates with warm color palette, while the gray suit of Birdie makes him stand out. For cinematography, the sequential arrangement of these two shots creates contrast between the two characters. On the color level, the tone of the first shot is cool, while the second is warm. In the scene, this is the first acquaintance of these two men, which is a pivotal plot point of the whole story. The contrasts bring out the main tension of the whole story. Whether the two men can get along well, and whether Leonard Logue can fix Birdie's stammer problem. The composition of the shots is very unconventional. It breaks the one-third rule of the classic composition. The two men are both short-sighted in their medium close shots, creating another layer of uneasiness of the whole scene. The plane model hanging in the first shot is a key prop that indicates the war era in which the story takes place. The king who squeezes himself into the corner of the couch shows his nervousness, making the audience as uncomfortable as himself. Let's see two more examples. First, the image on the left. The foreground of the shot is the microphone, which symbolizes the theme of the story, King's speech. The microphone is shot in a way that it is bigger than the king, convincing the audience that the speech is a huge challenge for Birdie in his life and is also an urgent problem that he has to overcome. And the background of the shot is very busy, telling the audience that at the moment, the king facing the microphone is nerve-wracking for him. For the still on the right, the use of wide-angle lens at a higher than normal position distorts the whole image and makes the body proportion of the two characters weird, adding quirkiness to the scene in which Leonard is using unusual methods to cure Birdie's stammer. Last but not least, let's talk about the soundtrack. The use of Mozart and Beethoven's classic music resonates with the royal background of the story as a period piece. The re-recording of the music allows the filmmaker to emphasize some specific segments of classics so as to enhance the tension of the story. And the use of the Beethoven's Seventh Symphony as a backdrop to the climax of the film when the king announces Britain's entry into World War II serves as an oral metaphor for the king's aspiration. Deaf is Beethoven when he writes the Seventh Symphony, a masterpiece, and stammered is the king when he delivers the speech, a speech to arouse the public morale of the entire nation. This well-written script with a well-developed character is the core. The production design, cinematography, the makeup and costume, and all other essential elements of the filmmaking process are for the story and are to enhance the story and to push the story forward. The combination of all the elements mentioned above strengthen the essence of the film in an era of war, boosted the arcs of the leading characters as the friendship of the king and the therapist develops, and emphasized the pivotal turning points as the stammered king successfully delivers his monarch speech to the whole nation. Therefore, the King's Speech is a masterpiece in the genre of period drama. And this is all for my presentation today, and I hope you all find it interesting and informative. Thank you.